Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, shall we? Today, we're unpacking a truly incredible narrative about the sheer, life-altering power of education. We aren't just looking at a timeline of events here, we're looking at a literal blueprint for human potential. It's a journey that starts with the humblest of beginnings and scales all the way up to massive societal transformation. If you've ever wondered how one person's absolute dedication can ripple out and change the world, well, you're in the right place. Let's break down exactly how learning shatters the cycle of poverty.
Okay, we start off with this foundational philosophy: education is man's most precious asset. In a world that is just so obsessed with material wealth, this really forces us to pause and reevaluate what we actually consider valuable. Think about it. Assets like money, property, or resources, they can all be lost, stolen, or just depleted over time. But education, that's an internal asset. Once you acquire knowledge, the way you think, the way you solve problems, how you view the entire world, it's permanently upgraded. There's no going back. This idea is basically the beating heart of the whole story we're tracking today.
Part 1. A Poor Child's Dream.
To really grasp the value of this asset, we're introduced to a protagonist who is facing the steepest climb imaginable. We start in a humble village with a young kid holding on to this massive, almost impossible dream of getting an education. Look, this is definitely not a story of someone getting things handed to them on a silver platter. It shows exactly what it takes to protect a dream when your resources are practically zero. Step 1. Waking up long before the sun, fighting that completely natural urge to just sleep in. Step 2. Walking a grueling, exhausting distance just to reach the school doors. Step 3. Once they're actually there, there's absolutely no slacking. It's about intense focus, absorbing every single word from the teacher. And finally, Step 4. Working late into the night under the dim, flickering light of a basic lamp. The takeaway here: education isn't some passive experience you just sit through. It is an active, daily fight. It takes a level of grit that is, honestly, just incredibly inspiring.
Part 2. The Role of Parents and Teachers.
Now, a journey this difficult is rarely a solo mission, right? The village itself becomes this vital network of support. Look at the massive collaborative effort here. First, you have the teachers providing that crucial guidance. They're the compass for navigating all this unknown territory. Then you've got the profound importance of the books themselves, the actual physical vessels holding all this precious knowledge. But man, perhaps the most emotionally hitting part is the selfless sacrifice of the parents. We're talking about people working extra hours, giving up their own basic comforts, just so their kid gets a shot at a totally different life. And we can't forget, learning alongside friends. That's the camaraderie that literally keeps you moving forward when the walk is just too long and the lamplight is too dim. You know the saying, it takes a village? This captures that reality perfectly.
And that brings us to a super powerful metaphor from the source material. Knowledge is light, and ignorance is darkness. Picture that kid studying under the dim lamp in the village. The physical darkness surrounding them, that represents the intense limitations of their current world, the boundaries set by poverty and a lack of opportunity. But the knowledge they're soaking up from those books, that is the internal light. It's this illumination revealing completely new paths, new ideas, and a real way to escape the darkness of their circumstances. It's a stark, beautiful contrast.
Part 3. The Bright Journey of Success.
All right, notice the massive environmental shift here. That internal light we just talked about, it's become an external reality. We've zoomed from a long dirt road all the way to modern schools, from one single worn-out book to vast libraries, from a flickering flame to the bright glow of computer screens. It's a huge technological leap. The rigorous exams are basically the gauntlet the student has to run to prove their mastery, and it all leads up to this triumphant graduation ceremony. But here's the crucial thing you need to take away. That relentless grit developed back in the village, that was the exact tool required to conquer these high-level educational environments. The scale totally changed, but that foundational work ethic, it stayed exactly the same.
Which perfectly tees up this quote: today's hard work, tomorrow's success. I love how this concept basically collapses time. It draws this direct, unbreakable line between the tired kids struggling in the dark yesterday and the proud graduates standing on that brightly lit stage today. The graduation is the tomorrow that was completely paid for by the today of their childhood. It's just an undeniable law of cause and effect played out through sheer human effort.
Part 4. The Development of Society.
But see, the story absolutely does not end with handing over a diploma. What actually happens when that newly educated person walks back out into the world? Well, it reminds me of this incredible story about a young boy named Ollie. Ollie was walking on a beach after a huge storm, and the sand was just covered with thousands of dying starfish. People were walking by, laughing, telling him it was useless. An old man even came up and said, "There are thousands of them. You're just one kid. What difference can you really make?" And Ollie, he just silently bends down, picks up another starfish, tosses it gently into the waves, and says, "It made a difference to that one." And that is exactly who our protagonist becomes. Whether they go on to be a successful doctor healing patients, an engineer building bridges for isolated towns, or a teacher inspiring the next generation, they are out there saving their community one starfish at a time. Through their new roles, they uplift their family, they pour back into the community that sacrificed for them, and their individual success actually becomes the engine driving societal progress.
And that small ripple effect, it eventually scales up to a massive macro-level truth. An educated nation is a developed nation. Going back to Ali on the beach, his small, relentless act of kindness ended up moving that old man to start throwing starfish too. Then a fisherman joined in, then other kids, until a whole community was working together to save thousands of them by sunset. That is exactly how this works. One educated kid inspires and uplifts an entire community. You simply cannot build a prosperous, advanced society on a foundation of ignorance. That kid reading in the dark was a microcosm of the whole country. Multiply his journey by millions, and boom, you get a developed nation. National prosperity isn't just about what natural resources you have. It's fundamentally about the collective capability of the people.
So this gives us our vivid mental picture of the ultimate endgame: a bright future, a prosperous society, and crucially, the smiling faces of children. Now, why are those smiling kids so important? Because they represent a broken cycle. Those kids won't have to walk miles in the dirt before sunrise. They aren't going to have to strain their eyes trying to read in the dark. The immense sacrifices of our protagonist and the whole village that backed him have totally rewritten the baseline for the next generation. And honestly, that is the true, lasting victory of education.
We're going to wrap up this explainer with a really simple but provocative call to action. Get an education, fulfill your dreams. It's direct, it's simple, but after walking through everything we just discussed, its weight is absolutely undeniable. Education is the bridge between exactly where you are right now and where you want to be. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. What is the tomorrow you are trying to build, and what small, starfish-tossing act of today's hard work do you need to start right now to spark a massive ripple effect of your own? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep building your future.